All right, I'm here with Ann Morrow, and we're going to start talking about the Galactic Starcruiser, and I am very, 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 very excited about this. We've got the model right here in front of us. I've been looking at it. Now, so can you just set up the story for us? How are we gonna get to the Star Wars galaxy?
Absolutely. So, Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser is a first of its kind vacation experience where guests get to live out a Star Wars story for a couple of days and nights. And to get here to the Halcyon Starcruiser, guests will go to a terminal at Walt Disney World, get into a launch pod, and then blast off into a galaxy far, far away. You'll see yourself kind of whooshing through stars, and then you'll see yourself connect up to the ship, and it will open out, and you will emerge into the Halcyon Starcruiser.
Awesome. And so once you're on the ship, what can guests expect on the actual ship itself?
So it's probably easiest to think of it as sort of a cruise-style model, where on board guests will have a variety of kind of fixed programming and activities. We'll have meals on board. You also, on day 2 of your 2-night cruise-style excursion, you will go on a shore excursion to the planet of Batuu, which is, of course, Galaxy's Edge in Hollywood Studios. And then you'll come back on board for more kind of fixed programming and activities. Where it loses its relationship to this cruise-style model is that it's also really a 2-day piece of theater where guests get to take part in the action, right? So all of day 1, you're getting to know characters, and depending on who you choose to help, you will actually go on different missions, and your story will play out differently until it meets sort of its epic space battle conclusion on the evening of day 2.
Awesome. All right. So when guests are on board, they're going to be, in space. So if they're ever feeling claustrophobic, is there going to be something for guests who are worried about that sort of like enclosed feeling?
Yeah, so a couple of things, because we actually thought a lot about that as we were designing it. The first thing is guests do spend the bulk of day 2 actually in Galaxy's Edge, right?
Okay.
So you'll spend most of your time on day 2 kind of wandering around and continuing your story down on the planet. We've also thought a lot about kind of the show lighting and how we think through, early morning wants to be cooler and brighter, and then we sort of move into warmer, darker tones in the course of the evening. Of course, we also do have, some spaces where guests can get a little bit of fresh air, and if at any time you want to take a launch pod back down to your home planet, that is also totally cool.
Do we have an estimate on how long the launch pod experience will sort of be?
It's a very quick experience, so you will be going up into the ship and back in just a couple of minutes.
Awesome. Okay. And then on the sort of other side of the coin there, for guests who wouldn't want to leave the ship, that they've been wanting to be on for so long, are guests able to not go to Batuu if they would like?
So, it's your journey and your voyage. You can choose to do what you want. If you want to hang out in your cabin all day, you can do that. I will say, we've really crafted this to be a 2-day story that unfolds, and the planet of Batuu plays a critical role in that. So characters will actually ask you to go on missions in the land, and we're not just giving you access to each of the attractions, we're giving you story reasons to do them. So let's say a member of the Resistance asks to, meet you at, a Resistance base on Batuu. That, of course, is Rise of the Resistance. Things happen while you're in Rise of the Resistance, and I think the First Order is going to be none too pleased about it. And that actually pays off once you're back on board the ship.
Okay.
So you can choose not to go, but so much of your story continues through the experience of being on that excursion.
All right. So are they going to, or they, as in you and your team, going to add things to Galaxy's Edge that only people who are staying on the Halcyon that they can only interact with that?
Yeah, so we will be sending you on exclusive missions that you will be able to see on your data pad, which is, of course, the Play Disney Parks app, as well as those interactions with characters. They'll ask you to kind of help them out when you're down on the planet. So you'll go down and do those missions. And then, as I mentioned, yes, you do get sort of a special lens by which you are seeing those attractions and how it all pays off once you're back on board the ship.
Awesome. Okay, that's great. Yeah, I'm hoping, no one... I'm sure it'll happen at some point. Guests will be on their vacation, and then they'll go to Batuu and then accidentally wander off into the rest of...
I think there will be armed stormtroopers at the door. I'm kidding. If you want to go ride Rock and Roller Coaster, you should go. It's your vacation. Have a great time. But we are really focusing on making sure there are enough stories so that you can stay immersed in that Star Wars storytelling should you want to.
Yeah, of course. If you're very, emotionally involved with this one crew member that you're helping out, you wouldn't want to abandon them and just go
willy-nilly into Toy Story Land or whatever. And I will say, you can also take the shuttle that flies you back back and forth between the Halcyon Starcruiser and Black Spire Outpost as much as you want during that shore excursion period. You want to make sure that you're back on board the ship in order for your story to continue that afternoon or evening. But if you wanted to go down to the land and say, you know, have a little bit of breakfast, eat a Ronto wrap, and go ride Rise, head back and, you know, hang out in your cabin for a minute, and then come back and do Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, you are welcome to do that as well.
All right. And of course, guests are going to be able to cosplay during their experience.
Absolutely they are, and it's going to be so cool. So guests are encouraged to bring their own costumes. We, of course, will also have some available for purchase. The other thing is we're inviting our guests to, you know, paint their faces as well, and, you know, if you want to be in like full headgear, Twi'lek, Leku, go for it.
And by headgear, does that include, like, if someone were to bring, like someone maybe in the 501st or something, if they brought their helmets, would that be?
So you would have to hold your helmet to your side.
Right,
We are not going to do full face masks covering the entirety of your face, but, you know, if you want to be, you know, a Panteran who has a Stormtrooper helmet to your side, have at it.
Awesome. A lot of people would like to know about that lightsaber that they saw in the little teaser that was released a while ago, and that's going to be part of the experience with the lightsaber on board, or is that going to be something that...
So there are a number of different ways that you can actually see lightsabers on board the ship that I'm really excited about. So, you know, the one that we released in the video, Rey will actually be on board during a portion of our cruise, because you are on the one, you know, fateful journey that goes horribly, horribly wrong.
Okay.
You may need a little help, but we also have lightsaber training on board, and there, guests will actually get to wield a training saber and face off against a training remote, and you'll be able to kind of deflect blaster bolts as you do it.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I'm hoping... You said that fated journey. I'm like, oh no, are we going to be like the Titanic of Star Wars now? But
I think it's possible that, you know, it's a dangerous time in the galaxy. There's a little bit of political unrest. You just never know when the First Order and Resistance might come into conflict one another. If you wound up wrapped up in the middle of it, you know, things happen.
Right. Well, let's hope we don't crash into a sun or something. But
We'll do our
fingers
best not to
crossed.
do
Fingers
that.
crossed. Yeah.